lovelies, happy Tuesday. Let's dose, and I want to talk to you guys now that I have had my dose split for like some months now. I want to talk to you guys about all like the things. There's 3 main things that have really improved. I'm going to talk about that. Cheers. Okay, so the first thing, I used to be hot, like to the point that I literally couldn't stand it. I was like dripping in sweat all the time, even in like 40 something degree weather. And people would sometimes come up to me on the street and be like, aren't you freezing? And I'd be like, no, I'm hot. I would kind of think like, why is everybody so cold all the time? And now I understand, like, I feel kind of normal again. It's, I think, 61 degrees outside and it's sunny. And I'm freezing in my house because we have the windows open. I put my little like fluffies on. I kind of have like normal temperature now. Like, I'm not pouring sweat all the time. Like, I never do that. Like, I think I sweat at like normal times, like if I go running or like if I'm out in the sun and it's like really, really hot or something, but my body temperature is like totally regulated. There was a drastic shift, but then it kind of like slowly, like gradually got to like what I would call completely normal. Because at first I just stopped that ridiculous like sweating when it's freezing kind of a thing, and I started experiencing waking up cold and wanting to put on a robe. And I just realized like the other day that I'm like totally normalized. I also want to add, this is my experience. I'm not like telling anybody to do anything. Like, I'm not a doctor, but I really want to share my experience because I feel like it could possibly help people. Also, something that I have really noticed is my sleep. I dream now, like vivid dreams. I used to wake up all night. I think because I was like actually sick, I would wake up all night and like literally probably every half an hour I would wake up and I would never get like a deep sleep. And I was always just like, that will like put into like the third thing is I was always like dragging, especially by the end of the day. Like, I would be energized in the morning, but I would be like dragging by like the afternoon, and I still start to sometimes, but that just means I need to take my dose. And I noticed because like, I've been dealing with like that kind of sickness now for like over 20 years. I really believe that that is the first sign for me. Like, I get really tired followed by like really hungry, which also it like affects like your cravings too. I feel like I was craving so many sweets, and I mean I still do, but if I'm regularly taking my dose in the evening to like late afternoon to evening kind of time, my cravings have gotten better. I have also added supplements in my life, which I give credit to that too. But splitting my dose has been life-changing because I was already like on that supplement journey, and I was aware of how much was changing and how much wasn't. Splitting my dose has like changed my life. I don't necessarily recommend this for like everyone. If you are newer to methadone, I feel like it's probably working for you. I have been on and off methadone for about 20 years, and for the first like while, the first like 12 years, I really struggled because I technically wasn't allowed to do methadone because I was so in the legal system and they just considered that still using. And so like no rehab would allow it, no any place like that would allow it, no sober living, no nothing. Court wouldn't allow it, probation wasn't allowing it until the very end, and that's how I succeeded. No one allowed that stuff. Like a lot of the rehabs back then, like the government funded ones, which I was refusing to go to because I actually had insurance. It was the only way my parents were like still helping me, and I was able to go to other rehabs, and they were like starting to give Suboxone, but that's like a whole other thing. They would like give it wrong. I knew more about that stuff than they did, which was really concerning, especially when I was in like a medical facility. No one knew what they were doing, and they were all horribly cruel. Like a lot of those detoxes were awful. And then the government funded ones were even worse. They wouldn't allow anything. They required you to get cold turkey because they just hated us. Like those of us who used opioids, they hated us, and they thought that we deserved to suffer. We are people who wanted to recover. And it was so shamed that rehab didn't allow it. Those same rehabs will drive you to the clinic now because they're finally starting to get it here. But the more I see is like not everywhere is getting that. And like a friend of mine said the other day in a post, they have actually proven it in court when you take those meds from somebody that violates human rights because of how horrific it is to do to a person. But that was just expected of us. And then when we were sick to the point that we couldn't get out of bed, we were just like vomiting on ourselves and like crying, and they would shame us. I mean, a lot of times I was the only like, person like that, like an opioid user. And sometimes there'd be like one other person and we would be like besties because nobody else understood what we were going through. And being on maintenance was like a thing that was considered like a failure. Like that was only at the clinic and only through the clinic, and none of the legal systems ever okayed that, or any of the rehabs or sober livings. Like I said, like no one was okay with that, and that was something that you got to do if you weren't in legal trouble. And so I saw some of my friends get to, and like I tried it, but for me, the stigma with that, I might as well have been using. The way they treated me, they would throw me in jail, and I would have to kick that, or I would still be using, because at that point, what was the difference Like, in my mind, I was gonna have to kick whatever, but at least if I was on methadone, the clinic would come and dose me for like a couple weeks and I wouldn't have to just go through. I mean, I used to see the way people in jail would like look at me and be like, oh my God, we can't believe you're alive. Because I would come in there like normal and then they would watch me get so sick. Everyone got scared. And like by the end of like the 11th time I kicked, I ended up with epilepsy. I was having seizures, like multiple seizures sometimes every day. And I was just laughed at. I was just like a joke to the guards and stuff because just like at the rehabs, just like get up and stop being dramatic. That's what they always said to me. You're so dramatic. Like, get up and go to group. Like, why are you just laying here? Everybody else is doing it. I'm like, yeah, other people are here for alcohol and you give them meds. And other people are here for, you know, other things and you give them meds. Like, and you don't give us meds and then you act like we're so different. Well, yeah, because you treat us different. And so it was just so bad. And I think it still is in a lot of places. And you know, it hasn't gotten completely better. I hear that they give you subs in jail now, like, so you don't have to, like, they lost so many people.